My beloved child, be still for a deep moment within yourself, not to search for answers from the world, but to hear my gentle yet unmistakable voice resonating within your soul. What is happening is not a meaningless disturbance, nor a passing emotion, but a sign of a spiritual movement I am carrying out to reposition you precisely where you were destined to stand long before you were aware of yourself. As it is written, as for God, His way is perfect, the word of the Lord is proven. Psalm 18:30. Therefore, what I am doing in you is not random, but carefully measured in wisdom far beyond your understanding. Perhaps you have wondered why in recent days your heart has not felt as settled as before. Why what once comforted you now feels unfamiliar, and why deep within there is a persistent calling you cannot ignore. Let me tell you this, it is not confusion, but a sign that I am drawing you away from what no longer fits in order to bring you closer to what has already been written for your life. For as it is spoken, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. Psalm 32:8. Every stirring you sense is not disorder, but guidance. Understand that there are times when I do not immediately change your circumstances. Instead, I adjust the axis within you. That axis is the direction of your heart, the place that shapes every choice, every step, every response you make in life. The direction of the heart cannot be fabricated, nor can it be altered merely by willpower. It is the hidden place I touch and realign. When the heart's direction shifts even slightly, you may still move forward, still appear to progress, yet your destination will no longer match what I have appointed. Therefore, I do not allow that misalignment to continue. I intervene not to discomfort you, but to rescue you from a journey that would lead you off course. Like a skilled craftsman laying a foundation, I am measuring every angle and every line of your life anew. At times, this requires me to dismantle what you once considered familiar. Do you remember the prophet Elijah when he stood on Mount Horeb? He sought me in the wind, in the earthquake, in the fire. But I was not in those. I came in a still small voice. 1 Kings 19:11-12. In the same way, you may expect a dramatic sign, yet I am working through subtle movements within you, movements only an awakened soul can discern. So do not be afraid when you no longer resonate with what once supported you. This is not loss, but necessary separation, so that you may enter a deeper union with me. As it is written, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. The change you are experiencing is not something to resist, but something to embrace. There are doors I am closing before you, not because I wish to take something from you, but because I am protecting you from paths that do not lead to life. And there are other doors I am quietly preparing to open, though you do not yet see them clearly, because I desire that you learn to trust before you see. That is why I am placing within you a new sensitivity, a deeper awareness of what is right and what no longer aligns. This is discernment, a gift I give so that you will no longer walk by emotion, but by truth. My beloved child, there is a story you may not have pondered deeply. When Jonah was sent to the city of Nineveh, he chose to go in the opposite direction. Yet no matter how far he ran, I adjusted his journey even through the storm and within the belly of the great fish to bring him back to the right course. Jonah 1:2. This was not to punish him, but to reposition him. And I tell you, I am doing the same in you more gently, more subtly because you are listening. So when you feel an invisible force restraining you from decisions that seem reasonable, do not grow frustrated or doubt yourself. That is my hand upon you, preventing a misstep. When you sense you can no longer continue as before, it is not weakness, but a sign that you have outgrown where you once stood. And when you begin to long for something deeper, more authentic, it is because I am drawing you into closer communion with me. I am not merely correcting the direction of your heart. I am preparing you for a season in which you will no longer be pulled by circumstances, but led by inward unity. A season where you will not have to strive to be right, but will naturally walk in what is right because you have been aligned within. As it is written, a man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. Proverbs 16:9. Your part is not to understand everything, but to trust. Keep your heart soft before me. Do not resist the change. Do not attempt to return to what I have already brought you out of. What lies ahead is not emptiness, but a prepared path. And when you step into it, you will realize that what you are experiencing now is not meaningless disruption, but divine rearrangement so that you may function rightly within the purpose I have assigned. For I am not only leading you forward, I am transforming you into someone who can walk rightly. And once you are aligned from within, no circumstance will be able to knock you off course. Be at peace, for I am working, and my work in you is perfect. My beloved child, turn deeply into the innermost place of your soul, for what I am doing is not simply calling you back, but drawing you to the true center, appointed from the beginning. The direction of your heart must return to me like a compass needle returning to true north, no longer spinning according to the noise of emotions or the shifting glances of people. You have allowed circumstances to define your rhythm, the reactions of others to serve as your temporary compass, and your own expectations to guide your steps. But I declare that your center is not there. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3:5. For when you rely on me, peace will flow like a river into the banks of your soul, and discernment will unfold like an unstoppable dawn. When the direction of your heart is straightened, your inner strength is reinforced, like a kite flying steadily because the one holding the string stands firmly against the wind. Your soul will reach its proper height when it is no longer pulled by the opposing forces of fear and the need for approval. If recently you have felt a powerful pull drawing you nearer to me, it is not emotional illusion, but my hand adjusting your trajectory so you will not wander into unnecessary detours. From that alignment, I touch an even deeper layer, the motives hidden beneath each of your actions. Motive is the whisper within your heart that only I fully hear. It is the true reason behind decisions you sometimes avoid facing directly. When motive is even slightly misaligned, a noble purpose becomes a heavy burden. But when motive is purified, the burden turns into glory because you know you are acting for me. All a man's ways seem pure to him, but the Lord weighs the spirit. Proverbs 16:4. So I do not look only at what you do, I examine why you do it. That is why I have allowed certain doors to close, not to punish you, but to protect your motives from being tainted by ambition or the fear of abandonment. I have allowed some relationships to fade so that you would no longer do what is right merely to be seen. I have let certain expectations dissolve so that you would stop chasing recognition you believed was necessary. Within that removal, there is mercy, for I desire that you act for me, not for the gaze of any other. Remember the story of King Saul when he offered the sacrifice without waiting as he had been commanded. He acted out of fear that the people would scatter rather than out of reverence for me. And as a result, his kingdom was shaken. But David, though only a shepherd, was chosen because his heart was aligned with mine. 1 Samuel 13:14. I do not seek outward success. I seek an upright heart. When your motives are purified, you will no longer be governed by praise or criticism, because your joy will come from my approval. Right motives free you from the pressure to prove yourself. They cause you to do what is right as an act of worship, not as a competition. To understand this more clearly, remember Joseph. When he was sold into slavery and falsely accused in prison, his motive did not change. He did not serve to gain recognition, but to remain faithful to me in hidden places. It was that purity that lifted him in Egypt, not as a reward for ambition, but as the fruit of steadfast loyalty. The Lord was with Joseph, Genesis 39:2, and that presence was enough to transform imprisonment into a launching ground for great purpose. In the same way, when your motives are cleansed, I will place you in position not because you demanded it, but because you are ready to carry it. My beloved child, returning to the center and refining your motives are inseparable. They stand like two pillars supporting the temple of your life. When the direction of your heart is fixed on me, your motives will not be pulled astray. When your motives are refined, the direction of your heart will no longer be enticed by false light. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Matthew 5:8. And I desire that you see me not only in moments of prayer, but in every action, every decision, every step. Therefore do not mourn what I have removed. Do not attempt to reopen doors I have closed. Allow this process to be completed in you. When your heart is repositioned in me, and your motives become pure, you will experience a new freedom. Freedom from the pressure to be understood, from the need to be applauded, from the fear of being forgotten. Then you will walk lightly, yet firmly, knowing you stand at the true center, and everything you do will flow from unity with me. I am leading you there not by force, but by unfailing love, so that your life will not only be rightly aligned, but radiant in the holiness of motives, wholly surrendered to me. My beloved child, grasp this deeply within your soul. The purity of motive does not make you weak before the world. It sharpens you like a blade refined in holy fire. When your heart no longer seeks the gaze of approval, when your actions are no longer driven by fear of being overlooked, you become so free that the world has no cord left to pull you. The Lord looks at the heart, 1 Samuel 16:7. And when your heart stands upright before me, your voice carries authority without needing to be loud. You do not have to be noisy to be heard, for the conviction within you is strong enough to shift the atmosphere around you. Pure motive causes you to speak less, yet carry greater weight, to move steadily while the ground itself is changed, and to love not out of lack, but out of abundance. Look back over the journey you have walked. There were seasons when you tried to prove yourself, striving to surpass others just to confirm your own worth. And at times, you withdrew when misunderstood because you feared losing acceptance. But I am shaping within you a different version of yourself, one no longer controlled by applause nor crushed by criticism. Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, Jeremiah 17:7. For that person no longer depends on external sources to stand firm. When your motives are purified, you love with maturity rather than from the need to be loved in return. You act with certainty rather than from the urge to prove yourself. And if lately you have noticed that you are no longer drawn into silent competitions, no longer overly sensitive to praise or blame, know that I am completing a deep work within you. I am doing this not to separate you from the world, but to enable you to stand within it without being pulled by it. As I spoke to Joshua, be strong and courageous, Joshua 1:9, that strength did not come from outward encouragement, but from the awareness that I was with him. Pure motives mean you do not need to compete for position. Because your position has already been appointed, you do not need to strive to shine. Because the light within you is already bright enough. This purity frees you from invisible chains, chains of ambition, of fear, of the craving to be seen. When those chains fall away, you no longer waste energy on what does not belong to you. From that refinement, I draw you into a deeper level of unity with me. When the direction of your heart is fixed on me and your motives are no longer mixed, a rhythm begins to form between us. Unity does not mean you know every detail of the plan. Unity means you walk with me in the same breath, in the same movement. We are co-workers with God, 1 Corinthians 3:9. And in that partnership, every step you take carries the weight of heaven. Your words are no longer mere sound, but keys that open doors. Your presence is not merely attendance, but the release of an atmosphere of peace. Remember Daniel, in the court of Babylon, filled with intrigue and rivalry. He did not compete to be promoted. He simply maintained faithfulness and pure motive before me. When others sought to bring him down, his integrity became the reason he was preserved in the lion's den, Daniel 6. He did not defend himself with noise, for I myself stood as his defense. That is the image of one who is aligned, not winning by strategy, but by unity with me, my beloved child. When these two pillars, the direction of your heart and the purity of your motives, are restored to their rightful place, your life will no longer feel fragmented. A unity of purpose begins to form like two rivers merging into one. You no longer struggle to find your role. You know where you are going. Even if your eyes do not yet see the entire path, the righteous shall live by faith, Romans 1:17. And that faith is not blind, but trust in the one who leads. Battles that once exhausted you become lighter, because you no longer fight by your own strength, but from the position of one united with me. In that unity, your discernment becomes sharper, because it is no longer clouded by mixed motives. You are not drawn into invitations that do not belong to you, nor do you react to every challenge as you once did. You walk with the composure of one who knows they are sent, not one searching for a place to stand. This is the functioning of a life that has been aligned, not hurried yet not delayed, not loud yet full of authority, not self-promoting yet deeply influential. So, if you sense a new steadiness within, a freedom no longer bound by praise or criticism, a clarity no longer overshadowed by doubt, know that I am bringing you into a season of unity within heavenly purpose. You are no longer one who runs after the call of the world. You are one who steps in rhythm with me. And as you move in that rhythm, every motion becomes part of a greater design, a design written not only for today, but for the season ahead. Continue walking with me. For in this unity you do not merely discover purpose, you become purpose revealed. My beloved child, picture your soul as a bow resting in my hand. A bow is not created to lie idle, yet it is not powerful because it strains itself. Its strength lies in being drawn along the right axis, in the right direction, in the hand of the one who knows where he is aiming. When I draw you closer to the center, when I hold you in what feels like tension and waiting, it is not to delay you, but to prepare a precise trajectory. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. That stillness is not passivity, it is the posture of trust. You are not strong because you rush forward. You are strong because you are drawn in the right direction by me. There are moments when you want to release quickly, to prove you are ready, to see the arrow leave the string. But I say to you, do not rush. An arrow travels far, not because it is released early, but because it is held long enough to be aimed accurately. The timing is mine. The direction is mine. The target is mine. Your part is not to calculate distance or measure the wind. Your part is to keep your heart and your motives rightly positioned. When those two align, there is no target I assign that you cannot reach. A man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. Proverbs 16:9. You do not need to see the entire picture. You only need to remain in my hand. Perhaps deep within, you have asked, am I in the right season? Am I hearing the right signal? I answer you firmly, you are sensing rightly, hearing rightly, walking rightly, not because of your own wisdom, but because I am drawing the two pillars of your soul, the direction of your heart and your motives, back into their proper place. The stirrings you have felt are not oversensitivity. They are the mark of one entering a sacred harmony between heaven and my will. Your ears shall hear a word behind you, saying, "This is the way. Walk in it." Isaiah 30:21. That voice is not loud, but it is clear to one who has been aligned. Remember David when he stood before Goliath. He did not rush into battle to prove himself. He stepped forward with the conviction that I had chosen him for that moment. Others saw a giant warrior. David saw a target already set by me. A single stone, guided in the right direction in my hand, brought down what an entire army feared. 1 Samuel 17. It was not because the stone was powerful, but because it was released at the right time and along the right trajectory. So it is with you. You do not create victory on your own. I am the one who aims and sends you into purpose. You are not a wandering object trying to discover an orbit in an undefined expanse. You are a star I have set upon its appointed path. When I draw you back, it is not restraint, it is preparation for precise release. The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Psalm 37:23. You do not need to sustain unity through strained effort. You need only allow me to lead, to adjust, to complete the work I began in you. This season is not one in which you search for me in confusion. It is the season in which I draw you into everything I have already ordained. The synchronization you are experiencing cannot be learned from books, nor can anyone teach you how to achieve it. It is born of divine alignment when the direction of your heart is wholly set on me and your motives are no longer mixed. When those two unite, every step you take carries heavenly weight. Your words open doors not because of volume, but because of authority. Your presence releases peace, not because you strive to create it, but because you stand in the right orbit. Battles that once exhausted you grow lighter, because you no longer shoot arrows in every direction. You release only when I speak. Therefore, my beloved child, do not fear the sensation of being drawn back. Do not mistake waiting for stagnation. Trust that I am aiming at something greater than what you can see. When the moment arrives, I will release the arrow, and when I do, it will travel farther than you imagine, straighter than you expect, and strike the target I have chosen. You are not lost. You are not delayed. You are in the hand of the one who created every path. Remain still in that guidance, for in my hand you are not merely drawn, you are launched into the destiny written for you from the beginning. Listen even more deeply, for I want you to understand that I unite you with purpose, not by force, but by a holy gravitational pull that proceeds from me. Heaven does not shove you into position through pressure, it draws you toward the center through love and truth. Just as the earth holds all things in orbit by an unseen force, I place within your soul a spiritual gravity that causes what is not meant for you to fall away, and what belongs to your destiny to move steadily closer. You do not need to strain to hold what I did not send, if it is not from me. It will not remain, nor must you chase what I have ordained, if it is yours. It will find its way to you. Every good and perfect gift is from above, James 1:17. And what I prepare for you will not lose its way. Unity in purpose is not a tense race. It is the steady flow of right direction when your heart inclines toward me. When the season of alignment operates, you will realize you no longer need to compete for position, maneuver to secure your place, or prove your value before any gaze. I work on your behalf in ways you do not immediately see. For the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. That stillness is not indifference. It is trust that my pull is stronger than every push of the world. The way I draw you into position is not through thunder, but through subtle adjustments filled with power. I alter the rhythm of your thinking before I alter the path of your steps. I plant within you a hunger for what is spiritual and a weariness toward what is empty. I sharpen your sensitivity to what is false and deepen your peace toward what is true. When you begin to feel disinterest in what once attracted you, when temporary glitter no longer captivates you, it is I who am turning the axis within you. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. Ezekiel 36:26. True change does not begin in circumstance. It begins in the heart. Understand this clearly. I do not lead you by fear. I do not threaten you into the right path. I guide you by the inclination of your heart. When your heart leans toward me, wrong paths naturally lose their appeal. You cannot drift far from your orbit if your heart remains turned toward the center, just as a sunflower turns toward the sun without being commanded. Your soul will adjust itself when my light shines upon it. This is the first mechanism of alignment. I draw the heart before I draw the feet. Remember Ruth. No one forced her to leave her homeland to follow Naomi. It was the pull of love and trust that moved her to declare, "Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God." Ruth 1:16. That inclination of her heart brought her into the orbit of a great lineage. She did not compete for a place in a grand plan. She simply walked in the direction her heart had chosen. And I led her to the field of Boaz as a quiet arrangement of providence. In the same way, when your heart leans rightly, I will orchestrate intersections you could never manufacture. You do not need to preserve relationships I did not send. They will naturally move out of orbit. You do not need to cling to opportunities that are not yours. They will dissolve like mist. Nor must you chase what I have inscribed with your name. It will find you when the time ripens. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, Psalm 37:23. And when I order them, no force can misalign them. Therefore, my beloved child, do not panic when certain things fall away. Do not be anxious when former dreams no longer hold the same attraction. This is the evidence of alignment at work. I am lightening your load so you may flow in the right direction without resistance. When your heart inclines toward me, all other paths are filtered accordingly. You do not need to grasp every detail of your purpose. You need only keep your heart soft and facing the right direction. And when that unity is complete, you will realize you are moving without strain, advancing without forcing yourself. Heaven will be working on your behalf in ways unseen. You are not pushed by pressure, you are drawn by love. You are not a wanderer searching for the center. You are one being drawn back to the true center by the one who designed every orbit. Allow me to continue this work within you. Let me draw the heart before I draw the step. For when your heart fully belongs to me, no road can carry you outside the purpose I have appointed. My beloved child, when I prepare to place you in the position already ordained, I do not only touch your heart, I begin to shift the environment around you. A soul that has been elevated cannot remain comfortably in its former space. The second mechanism I employ is the adjustment of your atmosphere. When the frequency of your soul changes, connections that no longer resonate will gradually fade. You do not need to sever anyone through coldness or harsh words. I need only raise the frequency within you, and everything will rearrange itself, like a radio tuned to a higher signal. The old sounds can no longer be received. It is not because you are arrogant, nor because others are wrong. It is because your soul is now transmitting on a different wavelength. You will notice that conversations once vibrant now feel shallow. Relationships that once felt close may no longer resonate in the same way. No one needs to be blamed. This is the natural alignment of heaven. Can two walk together unless they are agreed? Amos 3:3. When harmony fades, the steps slow, not out of resentment, but because the direction has changed. I do not require you to strain to preserve connections I did not intend to keep for the long journey. When the frequency shifts, what does not belong to the new orbit will fall away like leaves at the end of a season, and what is truly yours will find its way into the rhythm that now carries you. Remember Abraham when he was called to leave his homeland? Not everyone could go with him. The calling lifted him into a new orbit, and the old space could no longer contain the new vision. Go from your country to the land I will show you, Genesis 12:1. As he stepped forward, a new environment began forming around him. I am doing the same with you. As you enter this season of unity, the former environment will no longer fit. Do not fear that change. It is the sign that you are being positioned higher. The third mechanism I activate is the refinement of your inner sensitivity. As I draw you nearer to purpose, I elevate your capacity for discernment. You will begin to sense what is right or not right before your mind can fully analyze it. There will be places you enter where your spirit suddenly feels heavy, as though an unseen door has closed. That is, my quiet no. There will be invitations that appear reasonable but stir unease within you. This too is a gentle warning. Conversely, there will be opportunities not yet fully formed, not perfectly arranged. Yet when you consider them, peace settles and clarity rises. That is, continue. Let the peace of God rule in your hearts. Colossians 3:15. Peace is not merely a pleasant feeling, it is my confirmation. I do not speak only through dramatic declarations. I speak through the breath of your soul. Through inner responses you cannot fabricate. Do not dismiss those subtle stirrings. They are the language of heaven placed within you. The closer you move toward purpose, the clearer that sensitivity becomes. Remember the prophet Samuel when he sought the anointed one among the sons of Jesse. He looked at outward appearance and assumed Eliab was chosen. But I said, the Lord does not look at the things people look at. 1 Samuel 16-7. Discernment does not arise from appearance, but from sensitivity to what I am doing. Likewise, you will no longer be deceived by surface impressions. You will sense before you fully understand. This is not confusion, it is the upgrading of your spirit. My beloved child, when your environment is adjusted and your sensitivity heightened, you will realize you no longer need to struggle to remain on course. You do not have to sever everything by your own effort. I change the frequency and circumstances rearrange themselves. You do not have to exhaust yourself analyzing every detail. I place within you a perception clear enough to know when to move and when to pause. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. Psalm 32:8. I do not leave you wandering among vague signals. Therefore, do not fear when certain relationships quietly drift away. Do not worry when old conversations no longer nourish your spirit. Do not doubt when you sense an inner door closing, even while the outer one appears open. This is alignment at work. I am preparing you for the right position, the right environment, the right rhythm. And when these three mechanisms, shifted frequency, adjusted atmosphere, and heightened discernment, operate together, you will walk not in confusion, but in sacred synchronization. You are not losing anything that truly belongs to you. You are not missing anything I have ordained. You are simply being repositioned into your true orbit. And when that orbit is complete, you will look back and understand that every falling away, every shift, every inner stirring was my hand guiding you, not with shouting, but with the subtle and powerful precision of the one who knows exactly where you belong. My beloved child, when I prepare to place you into a new position within your appointed purpose, I do not only adjust your heart, your environment, or your sensitivity. I awaken within you what I call holy unrest. Do not confuse it with anxiety. Anxiety makes you shrink, makes you fearful, makes you want to escape. Holy unrest is different. It does not cause panic, but it makes it impossible for you to remain settled in the old. It is like the feeling of knowing an important guest is about to arrive. No one pressures you, yet within you there is a gentle but unmistakable urge. Prepare, arrange, make ready. You have not yet seen the guest, nor heard the knock, but you know the moment is near. When I reposition you, I always place this movement within your heart. It prevents you from remaining at ease within former structures, even if those structures were not wrong. The issue is not that the old was sinful. It is that it no longer fits the new shape I am forming within you. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. That new thing does not always begin with thunder. Often it begins with a subtle stirring in the soul. You begin to feel that old patterns have become too narrow. Habits that once sufficed no longer satisfy. Boundaries once acceptable can no longer contain you. This is not fleshly dissatisfaction. It is evidence that something has shifted in the spiritual realm. Remember Elisha when he was plowing the field. His life stable and predictable. But when Elijah passed by and threw his cloak upon him, holy unrest was awakened. He could no longer continue plowing as before. It was not that farming was wrong, but that a new identity had been called forth within him. 1 Kings 19:21. He slaughtered the oxen, burned the plow, and stepped into a new orbit. That unrest did not make him frantic, it made him decisive. In the same way, when I place holy unrest within you, it is a sign that the time has come. Do not extinguish it merely to preserve familiarity. Holy unrest prepares you without revealing the entire plan. It causes you to rearrange priorities, revisit unfinished matters, and cleanse what is unnecessary. It inclines your heart more deeply toward me, as though your soul is standing at the threshold of a new room. Prepare the way of the Lord, Isaiah 40:3. That preparation begins within. When I place holy unrest in you, it is my signal that a new position is forming. Then I activate the fifth mechanism, bringing you into ordained intersections. This is where you begin to encounter coincidences your mind cannot fully explain. You arrive at the right time, meet the right person, hear the right word, open the right door, decline the right opportunity. You may call it chance. I call it prearranged crossings. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, Psalm 37:23. When you are aligned, I orchestrate timing, people, and circumstances like a composition written beforehand. Remember the Ethiopian official reading the prophet Isaiah in his chariot. Philip did not meet him by accident. I directed Philip to that desert road at precisely the right moment. Acts 8:26-29. An intersection had been prepared in advance. When two orbits met, purpose was activated. Likewise, as you walk in alignment, I will lead you into such intersections. A conversation that causes your spirit to ignite. A word that awakens what I planted long ago. An opportunity that opens and brings peace to your heart even before clarity arrives. This is not coincidence. It is the coordination of heaven. You will recognize those intersections not merely with your intellect, but through your inner response. There will be people you meet, and your spirit will brighten, as though something deep within has been recognized. There will be opportunities that cause your heart to open rather than contract. There will be words that make your heart burn. Like the two disciples on the road to Emmaus who said, "Were not our hearts burning within us?" Luke 24:32. When your heart burns in that way, it is a confirmation. My beloved child, when holy unrest and ordained intersections operate together, you will understand that I am not pushing you into unfamiliar territory. I am drawing you into a prepared position. You do not need to manufacture these meetings through strategy. You do not need to chase every opportunity with anxiety. I dispatch angels to coordinate timing, use circumstances to open pathways, and guide you through small steps toward greater places. The Lord Himself goes before you, Deuteronomy 31:8. When I go before you, Your role is simply to follow. Therefore, do not fear the stirring within. Do not doubt the intersections that seem coincidental. When you sense yourself being drawn toward a point of light, when a door opens precisely as you are ready, when a meeting awakens your spirit, know that I am positioning you. Everything is aligning not to confuse you, but to place you at the crossing of time and purpose. At that crossing, you will realize nothing is accidental. Everything bears my imprint, situating you exactly where you belong. My beloved child, as I lead you deeper into this season of alignment, I do not only open doors ahead, I awaken what I planted long ago behind you. The sixth mechanism I employ is the awakening of spiritual memory. There are promises I whispered to you in distant seasons, perhaps when you were young in faith, perhaps in the midst of sorrow, perhaps at the threshold of a former chapter. You thought you had forgotten. You assumed those visions were fleeting emotions. Yet when the time ripens, I cause them to rise again like an echo resounding within your spirit. I will remember my covenant, Leviticus 26:42. When I remember, you remember. Suddenly, an old image returns with renewed vitality. A dream once shelved ignites again. A promise that seemed distant becomes as near as breath. This is not nostalgia, it is activation. I am awakening the spiritual DNA within you, what I embedded in your being before circumstances covered it with dust. You do not enter a new season through strain, you enter through the reactivation of seeds long sown. When Joseph stood before Pharaoh, he did not receive a new dream. He stepped into the fulfillment of the dream I gave him in his youth, Genesis 37:41. The years of imprisonment did not erase the promise, they prepared him for its unveiling. Those who are aligned do not always receive something entirely unfamiliar. They witness what was old returning with new life. When spiritual memory awakens, it signals that you are being elevated into a higher dimension of the same promise. You begin to realize that what once stirred you deeply was not illusion, it was blueprint. And when that blueprint is reactivated, your soul feels as though it has found itself again. He has made everything beautiful in its time, Ecclesiastes 3:11. Some things are beautiful only when the timing is right, when I cause them to live again. It is because the appointed hour has arrived. The seventh mechanism I employ is to reduce the noise and amplify my voice. You will notice that you are no longer drawn to emotional turbulence as you once were. The dramas, comparaison, rivalries, and arguments that once stirred you now feel draining. You no longer sense the need to participate in every discussion or to defend your perspective in every setting. This is not coldness, it is refinement. I am sharpening the ears of your spirit to recognize my sound above all others. Hear, O Israel, Deuteronomy 6:4 was not merely an ancient call, it is a summons to every soul that is called. As the noise diminishes, you begin to crave quietness. You seek truth more than excitement. You desire my presence more than the clamor of the crowd. You speak less, yet you listen more deeply. You no longer feel compelled to explain everything, yet your inner understanding grows clearer than ever. This is evidence that I am guarding your unity with purpose. A called soul must learn to hear the voice of heaven above its own. When Elijah stood upon the mountain, I was not in the wind or the earthquake, but in the still small voice. 1 Kings 19:11-12. You are being trained to recognize that whisper amidst countless sounds. My beloved child, this change is not a personality shift, it is spiritual maturity. I am lowering the volume of the world to increase my volume within you. When you are no longer captivated by comparison, when you no longer seek victory in debate, when you discover a quiet joy in stillness, that is me, establishing an inner sanctuary within you. That space is where I speak, where I guide, where I protect. Look at David in his years as a shepherd, before he stood before a king, before he defeated Goliath. He learned to hear me in the wilderness. The silence of the fields trained his ear to distinguish the roar of a lion from my call. That listening prepared him for the throne. In the same way, I am training you in quietness so you will not be lost amid the noise of the city. When spiritual memory is awakened and noise is reduced, you enter a deeper state of unity. You do not need new inspiration every day. You live within the current of an old promise renewed. You do not need to argue to confirm your rightness. You listen and know. You do not have to search for my voice in chaos. You recognize it in stillness. So if you find yourself less interested in emotional noise, if you begin to hunger for quiet and truth, if former promises rise again in your heart with renewed strength, know that I am lifting you higher. I am protecting your unity with purpose by clarifying my voice and dimming the rest. And when your ear has grown accustomed to my sound, you will walk without needing applause, without the spotlight, but with the assurance of one who knows the source they are hearing. My beloved child, as all these mechanisms I have set in motion converge, there will be one unmistakable sign your soul cannot deny. You will begin to feel yourself drawn into the center of something greater than yourself. It is not ambition striving for heights. It is not self-created fantasy about a grand future. It is a deep awareness that your life is being placed into a powerful current, and you no longer need to swim against it or search for alternate paths. You simply step into its flow. The river of God is full of water, Psalm 65:9. And when I place you in that river, you no longer wander in search of a source. You are within it. You will find yourself asking fewer questions out of confusion and seeking fewer exits from what I am shaping. A strange assurance will settle over you. You are being drawn. You are being led. You are being turned in the right direction. You are being positioned according to what was determined before time began to count. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Jeremiah 1:5. What I am doing is not a reaction to present circumstances. It is the fulfillment of what I wrote from the beginning. When you step into that center, you no longer struggle to maintain balance. The center itself sustains you. From that center, I commission you as a guardian of unity. This commissioning is not a title for display. It is a sacred responsibility laid upon your shoulders. You are not only placed in the right position, you are entrusted with authority to remain firm within it. You are no longer a soul carried by crowds or pushed by emotion. You are no longer a leaf spun by circumstances. You become one who steers the inner life, not self-directed, but guided directly by my voice. When I commission you, I cloak you with the mantle of the chosen, not for spectacle, but for operation in holy authority. That authority does not elevate you above others. It aligns you with what I have assigned. From this moment, the atmosphere of heaven will rest upon you, not because you seek light, but because you dwell near its source. Wherever you step will grow brighter, calmer, clearer, not by your striving, but because my presence accompanies you. You are the light of the world, Matthew 5:14. Light does not argue with darkness. It simply appears, and darkness retreats. When you stand firm in unity, the places you enter are influenced by the stability within you. A guardian of unity is not swayed by external turbulence. When emotions surge, you retain your center. When conflicting voices rise, you still hear mine clearly. When opportunities come and go, you do not panic. You know you are within an ordained current. The Lord is your keeper, Psalm 121:5. Because I keep you, you are able to guard the position I entrust to you. My beloved child, commissioning does not eliminate trials, but from now on, trials will no longer define you. You do not fight to discover your identity. You stand from an identity already affirmed. You do not strive to create unity. You protect the unity already established. That distinction makes you steady in the storm. When the wind blows, You do not question the foundation, you stand upon it. Let this echo within your spirit. You are not drawn into the center to remain static there. You are placed in the center to become a stabilizing axis for what I will accomplish through you. When you are united with purpose, you become a reference point for others. They will find peace near you because you have found your center in me. They will see more clearly because you have been positioned in the light. So do not diminish the significance of being drawn inward. Do not fear the weight of commissioning. I never place upon you what exceeds the grace I supply. You are commissioned not to rise above others, but to stand rightly in this season. And when you stand rightly, everything I have ordained will flow through you naturally, without strain, without display, yet full of power. You are no longer pulled by the world. You are held by the center. You are no longer searching for position. You have become the position I wrote for you before the first dawn. My beloved child, having placed you in the center and clothed you with the mantle of unity's guardian, I do not send you forward without strategy for sustaining long-term alignment. Alignment is not a moment, it is a way of living. Therefore, I give you the first strategy. Keep your heart within the realm of true light. This means you must learn to stand before me in absolute honesty. Do not bring me the version you think I expect. Do not edit your prayers to sound proper. Bring me your real self, your weaknesses, your question, even the shadows you hesitate to face. If we walk in the light as He is in the light, we have fellowship with one another. 1 John 1:7. The light does not shame you, it frees you. People do not drift from me because they stumble. They drift because they conceal. When you hide, you construct a wall between my presence and your soul. But when you are honest, my light penetrates as deeply as you allow it. You do not need to cleanse yourself before you come. You simply need to come. Remember David after his failure, when he cried out, "Create in me a clean heart, O God." Psalm 51:10. It was his honesty that reopened the door to restoration. When you keep your heart within the realm of true light, you will never lose direction, because that light exposes the smallest misalignments before they grow into great deviation. This is the foundation of long-term alignment, not perfection, but transparency. The second strategy I give you is the cultivation of spiritual stillness. You do not need to offer me long hours while your mind remains noisy. You need genuine pauses. 1 minute of complete stillness with me is more powerful than an hour of restless activity. Stillness is the control room where I recalibrate your frequency. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Stillness is not empty space. It is the quiet arena of power at work. You live in a world saturated with noise, voices of others, social expectations, endless streams of information. If you do not learn to pause, your alignment will slowly blur, like a compass placed near a strong magnetic field. Stillness returns the compass to true north. Before you decide, pause. Before you react, breathe deeply and remember me. Before entering a conversation, give me a moment to adjust your inner posture. These pauses are small, yet mighty. They create the space I need to restore unity within you. Remember Mary sitting at my feet while Martha was busy with many tasks. I did not condemn service. I reminded her that Mary has chosen the better part. Luke 10:42. The better part is not doing less. It is beginning from presence. When you learn to prioritize stillness before activity, you act from clarity rather than pressure. My beloved child, stillness is not weakness, it is strategy. It protects you from impulsive reaction. It keeps your heart tender. It magnifies my voice above the noise. When true light and spiritual stillness converge, you establish a stable foundation for lasting alignment. You no longer need to repair major deviations, because you correct minor shifts daily. Keep your heart open to the light. Preserve pauses in your day to return to me. When you live this way, unity will not be something you struggle to maintain. It will become the natural state of your soul. And in that state, you will walk without losing direction. For light will guide you, and stillness will keep you centered. My beloved child, if alignment is to become more than a fleeting moment of inspiration, and instead a sustained current, you must learn the third strategy: govern your thoughts. Those who lose direction do not do so because they lack gifting or calling, but because they allow their minds to wander without stewardship. Thoughts are like small streams running down a hillside. If you do not channel them, they will flow to the lowest, easiest, darkest ground. But when you carve the right channels, the same water can nourish a garden. We take every thought captive to make it obedient to Christ. 2 Corinthians 10:5. This is not a call to strain. It is an invitation to discipline. Whenever your mind begins to drift into fear, pause and ask, does this voice come from heaven? I do not lead you through fear. For God has not given us a spirit of fear. 2 Timothy 1:7. If a thought causes you to shrink, question your identity, or lose peace, recognize that it does not reflect my voice. And whenever you are tempted to judge yourself harshly, ask, does this align with the identity I have given you? I correct in love, but I do not condemn to drive you away. Governing your thoughts is not a one-time battle. It is daily vigilance. Like a watchman guarding a city gate, if the gate stands open, strangers enter. If you stand watch, the city remains at peace. Remember David when he stood before the threats of Goliath. The entire army of Israel allowed fearful thoughts to dominate them for 40 days. But David governed his mind differently. He did not allow the roar of the enemy to become his truth. He recalled the lion and the bear I had enabled him to overcome. He nourished the memory of my faithfulness instead of magnifying the image of the threat. That stream of thought shaped his action. 1 Samuel 17. In the same way, the thoughts you cultivate today will determine the victories you step into tomorrow. The fourth strategy I give you is to maintain a spiritually clean environment. You cannot preserve alignment if you continually immerse yourself in spaces that fragment your soul. Environment is not merely a physical location, it is atmosphere, relationships, content, and conversations you permit to enter your heart. Do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good character. 1 Corinthians 15:33. This does not mean you despise anyone. It means you exercise wisdom about what you allow to influence the frequency of your soul. Just as a flame requires clean air to burn brightly, your soul requires a clean, spiritual environment to sustain unity. If you place a flame in thick smoke, it weakens, not because it has lost its nature, but because it lacks oxygen. You must choose who is allowed to step deeply into your inner world. You must choose the content you consume. You must choose the conversations you engage in. Not everything harmless is beneficial. Not every opportunity is aligned. I want you strong enough to say no to spaces that disturb your peace, even when they appear attractive on the surface. Remember Daniel in Babylon. He lived in a foreign environment, yet he resolved not to defile himself with what was set before him. Daniel 1:8. He did not change the empire, but he established boundaries. That decision preserved his stability in a foreign court. You may not control every environment around you, but you can control what you allow within you. My beloved child, governing your thoughts and choosing your environment are not separate strategies. They reinforce one another. If you guard your thoughts but remain in environments that constantly distort them, you will grow weary. If you choose healthy environments but fail to steward your mind, old voices will resurface. When both operate together, your soul remains clear and focused. Therefore, Each day guard your mind like one who protects a water source. Choose your atmosphere like one who tends a flame. When you do this, alignment will not fade over time, it will strengthen. And in that strengthening, you will walk with clarity that does not arise from circumstances, but from a soul that is protected, nourished, and directly guided by me, my beloved child, so that the unity you are entering will not be disrupted by small deviations accumulating over time. I give you the fifth strategy: recognize early signals of misalignment. Alignment is rarely lost in a single day. It is distorted by subtle fluctuations you ignore. Whenever you sense an unrest that is not holy, no longer a preparation stirring, but an anxiety that makes you frantic, pause. Whenever you are pulled into impure emotions, comparison, or disproportionate reactions, do not dismiss it. Those are warning lights flashing on the control panel of your soul. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. When your heart shifts off center, everything else will gradually follow. Do not wait until interference becomes a storm. Do not allow a minor deviation to evolve into a long-term wrong trajectory. Realign while it is still small. Return to the fundamental question: where is my heart leaning? Are you seeking me? Or seeking validation? Are you moving from peace or from pressure? Early correction is grace. It spares you unnecessary cycles of pain. When Peter began to sink on the water, he did not sink because the wind suddenly intensified. He sank because his eyes moved away from me. Matthew 14:30. Yet the moment he cried out, I reached for him. The same is true for you when you recognize early and turn back. I immediately steady you. The sixth strategy I give you is this: choose action according to heaven, not according to mood. You must understand this. Clearly, emotions are signals, but they are not the driver. Emotions can inform you of what is happening within, but if you hand them the steering wheel, you will constantly change direction. Some days you will feel inspired, other days you will feel weary. Some days you will sense strength, other days you will feel empty. Yet obedience does not fluctuate with mood. The righteous shall live by faith. Romans 1:17. Faith does not depend on feeling. It anchors itself to my word. The one who maintains alignment understands that faithfulness does not wait for favorable emotions. They pray even when enthusiasm is absent. They keep their word when no one is watching. They follow my guidance even when their heart feels tired. Look at Daniel. He did not pray 3 times a day only when he felt inspired. He maintained that discipline even when he knew it could lead him to the lion's den. Daniel 6:10. The stability of his actions became the foundation of his spiritual stability. My beloved child, spiritual maturity is not measured by emotional intensity, but by quiet faithfulness. When you act according to my leading rather than your mood, you reinforce your trajectory. Every small act of obedience becomes an anchor point that keeps you from drifting. When you choose to do what is right, even when you do not feel like it, you are declaring to your soul that I am your guide, not your emotions. Remember, I do not deny your emotions. I created them, but I did not appoint them as your master. Emotions shift with circumstances. My word does not. When you learn to listen to emotional signals without allowing them to control you, you step into true freedom. You may feel sorrow and still remain faithful. You may feel weary and still obey. You may feel doubt and still move forward. When you recognize misalignment early and choose action according to heaven rather than mood, your alignment becomes reinforced like a strengthened foundation. You no longer need to repair major failures because you correct minor fluctuations. You are no longer tossed by emotional waves because you have learned to keep your hands steady on the guidance I provide. Therefore, each day observe your soul with gentleness and vigilance. When you detect deviation, Return immediately. When emotions surge, ask, where is he leading me? When you live this way, unity will no longer be fragile. It will become a firm foundation upon which you walk, not according to the winds of feeling, but according to the steady current of my spirit moving through your life, my beloved child, so that your alignment is not swept away by the hurried rhythm of the world. I give you the seventh strategy. Live as one who carries a legacy, not as one who runs a race against others. The runner glances sideways to measure distance. The legacy bearer looks forward to complete what has been written. You do not live to defeat anyone, surpass anyone, or be ranked above anyone. You live to fulfill the scroll I have written concerning your life. All the days ordained for me were written in your book, Psalm 139:16. Your trajectory was not designed by human measurement, it was shaped by heavenly purpose. When you begin to see your life as a legacy in construction, your pace will change. You will no longer hurry out of fear of missing out. You will no longer compare your path with another's. You will understand that a house built to endure generations is not erected in haste. It requires deep foundations and stones placed with care. The one who lives for legacy walks in humility, knowing what is built today will echo tomorrow. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, Proverbs 13:22. That inheritance is not merely material, it is faithfulness. Faith and enduring alignment. Remember Noah. He did not build the ark to outperform others. He built it to complete what I had spoken. Even though rain had never yet fallen, Genesis 6. He did not chase the crowd, nor did he argue for recognition. He lived as one, preparing a legacy for days not yet seen. That steadfastness kept him aligned in the midst of a generation that had lost its way. So it is with you when you live as a bearer of legacy. You are no longer pulled by the race of the world. You do not need another person's destination to validate your own. The one who lives for legacy carries weight in every step. They do not react impulsively, because they understand. Each decision lays a stone in the foundation. They do not speak carelessly, because they know words can echo beyond their lifetime. They do not drift easily, because they recognize that a slight deviation today can tilt the entire structure tomorrow. That awareness safeguards the unity within them. And now, my beloved child, I seal this word upon your life as a sacred engraving. You enter this season of unity not by your own strength, but by my leading. You do not maintain alignment through strained effort, you sustain it through surrendered trust. Commit your way to the Lord, Psalm 37:5. When you entrust it to me, I carry the rest. You do not operate by fleeting emotion, you operate by delegated authority. I am within you to strengthen you. I go before you to prepare the way. I stand beside you to steady your steps. And I gather every fragment that once seemed misaligned, every experience, every stumble, every lesson, and weave them into a life that stands clear before heaven. Nothing in your journey has been wasted. I am able to weave all things into purpose. You are no longer one who searches for position. You are one who stands in the position already ordained. You no longer live to prove. You live to fulfill. When you remain in the light, in stillness, in disciplined thought, in clean environment, in early awareness of deviation, in obedient action, and in a legacy vision, your alignment will become firm like unshakable stone. Walk as one who carries your scroll in hand, knowing each page is being written under my guidance. And when you reach the end of your journey, what will matter is not that you ran faster than others, but that you completed what I entrusted to you. That is true unity. That is authentic legacy. And that is a life sealed by me. Thank you for listening to this message. Know that you are not merely a spectator, you are chosen to live daily in the presence of the Word of God. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you do not miss any sacred message. Amen. My beloved child, quiet your heart in this moment, and do not let the noise of the world drown out what I am whispering into the depths of your soul. There is a movement taking place beyond what your eyes can see, silent, yet filled with authority. It does not roar like a storm, yet its weight is enough to shake what once seemed unshakable. I am allowing my light to spread into corners, long shielded by habit, by silence, by compromises that once appeared harmless. You may think that the recent tensions within your family are merely clashes of personality or the pressure of daily life. But I tell you that I am working at a deeper level. As it is written, nothing is hidden that will not be revealed, nor secret that will not be made known. Light does not come to destroy, but to restore everything to its rightful place. When I begin to purify, I often start with what is closest to you. For the home is the foundation of generations. If there is a crack in that foundation, I cannot allow it to continue quietly spreading. You may see someone you dearly love suddenly become vulnerable. Things once buried and carefully guarded may no longer remain concealed. They may tremble. They may weep. They may speak aloud, secrets that were once locked away in silence. Do not let your heart grow hard in disappointment. And do not allow anger to cloud your compassion. I do not expose in order to condemn. I expose in order to rescue. As I have declared, I take no pleasure in the death of the wicked, but rather that they turn from their ways and live. When truth is named, it signals the possibility of life, not rejection. Remember the account of Jehoshaphat when the law was read before the gathered people. For a long time, many had lived in a mixture of worship and compromise. But when the word was proclaimed, their hearts were pierced and they wept openly. They were not humiliated. They were awakened to the distance between their lives and the light I desired to lead them into. Those tears paved the way for a profound renewal among the people. In the same way, the tears you witness in your family are not the end of the story. They are the beginning of revival. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and when a heart breaks open, I draw near. You may wonder why I allow familiar foundations to be shaken. You have grown accustomed to outward stability and fear that when things tremble, everything will collapse. But understand this, I only shake what is not anchored in truth. What belongs to me will stand firm under the light. What does not belong to me will fall away on its own, like fire refining gold. I do not burn to destroy what is precious, but to remove impurities. When I allow truth to rise, I am making room for mercy to enter. For when sin is called by its true name, forgiveness can reach the exact place where it is needed. Do not think that I am indifferent to your pain. I see every tear yours and those of your loved ones. I do not stand at a distance observing. I stand among you as a father holding both sides in my embrace. My light is not like a spotlight meant to expose for public criticism. It is like the morning sun that disperses the fog so you can see the path ahead. When hidden things are brought into the open, the enemy loses his hiding place. When truth is spoken, the power of deception is broken. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Therefore, do not fear truth, even if it brings momentary pain. I know you may feel tempted to react quickly, to fix everything with strong words or immediate action, but I am calling you to stand firm, not in harshness, but in peace. This is the season in which you learn to keep your heart tender while the ground shifts around you. When your loved ones are confronted by light, what they need to see in you is gentleness rather than judgment. You have not been given the role of a judge. You have been entrusted with the role of a witness to my love. Like the father in the parable of the prodigal son, when truth awakened the son to his condition, the father's open arms were already prepared. I am teaching you to stand in that place, so that when truth awakens them, mercy flowing through. You may lift them up. Some things you once believed were solid foundations will be tested in this season. Do not mistake testing for destruction. I am not dismantling your family. I am purifying it so that it may be rebuilt upon the rock. Just as a house built upon the rock does not collapse when the winds blow and the floods rise. I am shifting your foundation from concealment to transparency, from heavy silence to conversations in the light. The process may weary you, yet it will bring a freedom that generations before you never fully touched. Therefore, my beloved child, do not retreat when the light grows intense. Do not attempt to draw the curtain back down when I am the one lifting it. Trust that I know exactly what I am doing within your household. I am opening a door for healing to begin. I am bringing an end to cycles of concealment and inherited pain. I am writing a new chapter where truth and grace stand side by side, not as enemies, but as companions. Stand with me in this work. When you choose to remain in the light, you will discover that what once frightened you becomes living evidence of my redeeming power. And one day, not far from now, you will look back at this season of shaking and realize that it was the very hour I laid a new foundation for your family, a foundation built upon truth, sustained by mercy, and sealed by my unchanging love. My child, I know that in these days your heart trembles like water stirred by unseen currents. When truth rises, it does not enter like a gentle melody. It comes like fire, exposing what was hidden, like a sword, separating what belongs to light from what belongs to darkness. You will feel that heat, and at times you may wonder why you must stand in this painful intersection. But hear me clearly. You are not there as one swept along by circumstance. You stand there because I have positioned you. I have appointed you as a watchman, and a watchman does not fear when night deepens, for he knows that dawn is approaching. Within your home, there will be unfamiliar sounds, suppressed sobs, confessions heavy with weight, silences that tighten your chest. You will hear words that pierce your heart and see eyes lowered in shame. Yet I teach you not to react hastily. Do not allow waves of emotion to carry you away. In the silence that feels suffocating, I am at work with precision. In that space between words, I am planting seeds of repentance. As it is written, the Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. In that holy stillness, I reshape souls that tremble under the light. You have not been called to bear the guilt of others, nor to force transformation upon them. You have been called to bear witness to grace. Quietly, through years when you believed you were unseen, I was training you. I taught you to stand firm when no one applauded. I taught you to guard peace when everything around you stirred. Now you understand why. I am setting you like a pillar in the midst of spiritual tremors within your own family. Whoever hears my words and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house upon the rock. You stand upon that rock, and therefore you do not collapse when the ground around you shakes. My child, what you are witnessing is not the ending of a family. It is the beginning of a new chapter. A seed cannot sprout unless its outer shell breaks open. So it is with the soul. It must fracture before it can be renewed. When someone you love falls to their knees in the light, do not look at them through the lens of old memories. Look at them through my eyes, the eyes that saw their true identity before sin ever cast its shadow. I have loved you with an everlasting love, even when they tremble beneath truth. My gaze remains filled with mercy. Let your gaze become a mirror of my compassion. When you remain calm in the face of harsh words, you speak without uttering a sound that my love does not change. When you refuse to answer anger with anger, you interrupt an old current of resentment that has flowed through generations. You were not chosen because you are stronger than others, but because you know how to kneel. You were not placed within that family to endure them in silence, but so that through you I might redirect their course. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. And it is in that calling that I am shaping you. Understand that these tremors are not random calamities. I am dismantling invisible structures that have kept your family bound in cycles of fear, pretense, and inherited wounds. What was once passed down as a painful legacy will not move beyond you. Where you stand, I am drawing a new boundary line. You are the stopping point of darkness and the gateway for blessing. Each time you choose forgiveness instead of condemnation, each time you choose prayer instead of judgment, you are altering the trajectory of an entire lineage. Remember Joseph, when he stood before his brothers, the very ones who had betrayed him. He had every right to be angry, every reason to retaliate. Yet he declared, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." He perceived a larger design beyond personal injury. You, too, must lift your eyes beyond the immediate wound. I am using this very moment to bring deliverance to many, beginning within your own household. Therefore, my beloved, do not fear the breaking apart. Do not panic when hidden matters come into the open. You are not a casualty of the shaking. You are a pillar within it. You are not positioned at the center to be crushed, but to stand firm and to shine. When you remain anchored in me, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your heart and mind. From where you stand, light will spread gradually until that house is no longer overshadowed by darkness but filled with the freedom that only my truth can bring. My child, when truth begins to surface, do not rush toward it as a warrior eager to conquer, nor retreat from it as one overcome by fear. Walk alongside truth as one who understands that it belongs to me. I am the source of truth, and only I know how to wield it for salvation rather than destruction. You do not need to expose anything by your own effort, nor use sharp words to confront what is rising. When I desire a room to be opened, I open it myself. When I choose to cleanse a wound, I wash it with my own hand. Your part is to keep your heart tender and remain close to me. I am the Lord who heals you, and in my hands, truth always carries a redemptive purpose. There will be moments when you look around and feel as though everything is collapsing. Structures you once trusted may tremble. Relationships that seem secure may appear fragile, but you must understand that when old foundations are removed, it is not a sign of annihilation, but the beginning of reconstruction. I do not tear down to abandon, I clear away in order to rebuild. When cries echo through your home and broken prayers are whispered, it is as though rain from heaven is being poured out to cleanse parched ground. Do not confuse judgment with purification. Judgment seals off hope. Purification opens the path to life. I have not come to condemn your family, I have come to restore them. In your heart you ask me, why now? Why must I witness all of this? It is because this is a Kairos moment, an appointed time within my design. There are hours in the history of a lineage when I choose to intervene, so that old cycles do not pass unbroken into another generation. If truth were not unveiled in this appointed season, invisible burdens would continue to rest upon your children and their children. But I have chosen you as the point of release. When you stand in forgiveness instead of resentment, you are snapping the chains of darkness. Forgiveness does not mean pretending nothing happened. It is the decision to return judgment into my hands. When you forgive, you remove the authority of bitterness from your household. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other. For in forgiveness, freedom is born. The peace I grant you in this season is not avoidance of conflict, nor silence rooted in fear. It is a settled stillness within, grounded in the confidence that I remain sovereign in the midst of chaos. You do not need to control every unfolding detail. You only need to trust that I am orchestrating each one. When you refuse to allow fear to overtake you, you are closing the gate of your soul against the corruption of anger. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. When your heart is guarded in that purity, my light will shine through you with greater clarity. Let me tell you something deeper still. What is happening is not merely a family event, it is a spiritual assessment. Heaven is examining what was once overlooked, not to record accusations, but to dismantle what binds. Truth is rising like dawn. No one can halt the light when its hour has come. Rooms long locked will be opened. Lies repeated as if they were truth will retreat before what is real. And in the midst of it all, I am positioning you as a keeper of peace. You are not the one wielding a sword in this battle. Your weapon is not argument nor the sharpness of logic. Your weapon is mercy. When you answer with gentleness rather than severity, you accomplish what steel never could. When you maintain peace instead of being swept into emotional turmoil, you establish a stable center for your entire family. The Lord is my refuge and strength. And when you hide yourself in me, you become a refuge for others. Remember Esther when she stepped into the king's court during a perilous hour for her people. She did not carry weapons or incite war. She stood in the position appointed to her and, through grace and wisdom, shifted the outcome. In the same way, I have not placed you and your family to condemn, but to liberate. When you guard your heart from the poison of resentment, the entire household benefits from that purity. I often choose one who stands firm to steady many who are wavering, not because that person is flawless, but because they are willing to trust me more than their passing emotions. Today, you are that person. You are called not to control the storm, but to keep the lamp burning in its midst. As you maintain peace, as you forgive, as you stand in truth without hardening your heart, you cooperate with my work of purification. And from where you stand, a quiet yet enduring wave of freedom will move outward, until your family is no longer bound by its past, but guided into a new future beneath my light. My beloved child, sit down in this stillness and allow your soul to open before my word. I do not come to soothe the passing fear within you. I come to lift you into the stature of one entrusted with responsibility. I do not address you as a trembling child in the midst of upheaval. I call you a warrior refined by fire. You have walked through barren seasons, tasted the bitterness of misunderstanding, and learned to stand alone when no one else understood what I was forming within you. The tears you once mistook for weakness I have preserved as anointing oil for this very hour. The fire I permitted you to pass through was not sent to consume you, but to purify you and make you steady. One who has been trained in fire does not panic when the winds rise, because the flames have already taught them how to remain still. In this hour, as truth begins to lift its veil, you will see many things fall like a heavy rain. What was once concealed will surface. Those close to you will not only confront their faults, but will face themselves beneath a light that no longer permits compromise. That light may unsettle them, trouble them, drive them toward silence or retreat. You will witness tears, hear broken words, and sense the weight of an atmosphere thick within your home. Yet I instruct you, do not allow their reactions to determine your posture. Your posture is not shaped by circumstance, but by calling. You are not to respond according to the flesh. You are summoned to reflect the Spirit. If we live by the Spirit, let us also walk by the Spirit. You are not led by emotion. You are led by me. Be still and know that I am God. This is not a lullaby meant to quiet you. It is a command issued in the midst of chaos. The peace I have placed within you is not frailty, but armor. When you remain calm in the face of cutting words, you are building walls around your soul. When you refuse to answer anger with anger, You are depriving the enemy of its breath. Resentment is the air in which darkness survives. Forgiveness creates a space where it cannot endure. You may think your silence signals defeat, but I tell you that you are prevailing according to the pattern of heaven. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. That is the strategy of my kingdom. Forgiveness, my child, is not pretending that pain never occurred. It is severing the invisible cord that ties your soul to another's sin. When you cling to bitterness, you bind yourself to the very thing you long to escape. When you release it, you open the door for grace to flow. Forgiveness is like a double-edged sword. One edge cuts the chains of the other edge frees you. Do not believe the whisper that forgiveness is weakness. Only those strong in the spirit possess the courage to lay down resentment. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. When you act in this way, you bear my mark. I am not training you merely to manage reactions. I am forming you to reign in peace. Spiritual authority is not displayed through volume or outward force, but through the ability to remain centered while everything else trembles. You have been prepared for this hour. The nights you prayed in silence, the moments you chose restraint over retaliation, the times you knelt instead of rising to argue, none of it was wasted. I have been shaping you to stand firm when truth ignites like flame. You are not called to add fuel to that fire, but to carry water in your hands. Look to Stephen when he stood, surrounded by stones and curses. He did not retaliate. He did not allow hatred to take root. Instead, he lifted his eyes and released forgiveness over those who were harming him. In that very moment, heaven opened. Do you see it? When you forgive in the midst of pain, the heavens respond. You are not merely navigating a family conflict. You are stepping into a spiritual battleground where victory is not measured by volume or visible triumph, but by a heart that remains unpoisoned. My beloved child, I have not positioned you here for you to collapse under pressure. I have placed you here because you can carry my peace into spaces where it has long been absent. You are not weak because you choose love. You are strong because you refuse to be governed by resentment. When you stand firm in forgiveness, you are establishing new territory for your family, territory defined by grace. From where you stand, the current begins to shift. Darkness will not flow forward as it once did, because in you it meets a boundary. You are one I have trained to reign through peace. Hold fast to that armor and walk as one who does not react according to the world, but moves in step with my spirit. My beloved, I see every silent tear that falls where no one else is watching. Do not dismiss them as meaningless or frail. Each tear is like a seed planted in sacred soil, and I have promised that those who sow in tears will reap with songs of joy. You may not yet hear your own song, but I have already heard the anthem of your deliverance. What you are enduring is not the end of hope, it is the threshold of harvest. Today's tears are not signs of defeat. They are the anointing oil I am preparing for the day you rise with freedom in your voice. Every time you choose forgiveness instead of retaliation, you are rewriting the spiritual history of your own bloodline. You are interrupting patterns that once moved like shadow from one generation to another. When you refuse to perpetuate the cycle of resentment, you open the door for blessing to enter. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they carry my likeness. You are not merely reconciling a moment, you are laying a new foundation for those who will come after you. Your forgiveness tolls the bell that ends an old curse and proclaims the dawn of a new beginning. But understand this clearly. You cannot guide another into repentance if your own heart is clouded by bitterness. Light cannot shine through a vessel still caked with mud. That is why I am cleansing you before I use you. Not to wound you, but to refine you. I desire that your words carry healing, not the residue of reaction. When you forgive, your speech is no longer an arrow, it becomes living water. When you maintain peace, Your presence becomes the fragrance of life rather than the breath of conflict. Out of the heart flow the issues of life, and I am tending that source within you. Chosen one, rise in your spirit and place your hand over your heart, whispering, I choose peace. That choice is not small. It is a strategic declaration in an unseen war. Your peace is not surrender. It is a weapon. Your forgiveness is not loss. It is triumph. When you keep your heart tender amid upheaval, you accomplish what fleshly strength never could. When you refuse to answer anger with anger, you create space for angelic movement, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit. So do not strive to win through argument. Allow me to prevail through truth. You may feel weak, and I do not deny that feeling. Yet I do not require you to be strong in the flesh. I ask only that you keep the gate of your spirit open. Your strength does not lie in outward rigidity, but in dependence upon me. My power is made perfect in weakness. So when you sense yourself trembling, that is precisely where I stand firm within you. Do not fear your emotions. Bring them to me. Do not clothe yourself in an appearance of stability while storms rage inside. Be honest before me, for only when you are real can I move fully within you. Kneel if you must. Breathe deeply and loosen the hands that have gripped too tightly in an effort to control everything. Peace does not come through tightening your grasp, but through releasing in trust. You are not called to manage outcomes. You are called to remain faithful. When you surrender what you cannot change and place it back into my hands, I begin to accomplish what you never could. I turn tears into strength, fracture into foundation, exhaustion into fresh anointing. My beloved, the day will come when you sing with joy. You will look back and understand that each time you chose love instead of hatred, each time you chose peace instead of argument, you opened a door no one could shut. Continue guarding the purity of your heart. Keep forgiveness alive within you. Wear peace as armor. I am working in you, through you, and for you, in all of it. I do not step away from you for even a moment. Beloved, I am teaching you a mystery greater than what your eyes can see, how to live upon the earth without being shaped by it. You walk on this ground. You hear the familiar sounds of daily life, yet your soul belongs to a higher kingdom. Forgiveness is not the natural reflex of the flesh. It is the language of heaven. Peace is not the product of favorable circumstances. It is the breath of the kingdom at work within you. When you whisper, Father, I forgive, the unseen realm shifts. When you say, I release, invisible cords that once constricted your soul begin to fall away. And when you bow your head and murmur, your will be done, you cross the boundary from wounded victim to one who governs through mercy. Before you always lie two paths. One is the path of instinct, speaking what you feel compelled to say, returning what you have received, holding bitterness as though it were a shield. The other is the path of the Spirit, listening before speaking, praying before acting, returning judgment to me. If you choose the flesh, the spiral of injury will continue, turning like a wheel that never stops. But if you choose the Spirit, you open a door through which grace can enter, not only for you, but for your entire family. You do not represent yourself alone. You represent your bloodline, its history, and the future of those not yet born. When you stand firm in peace, an unseen hedge of protection rises around your lineage. When you forgive, the bloodstream of your family is cleansed from the inherited toxins of resentment. This is the hour of multiplied restoration. Yet only those who guard the purity of their hearts can stand within that current of blessing without being swept away. I am not calling you to perfection. I am calling you to remain unpoisoned within. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. You will discern my hand more clearly when your heart is not clouded by the dust of anger. Forgiveness does not strip justice from you, it returns justice to me. Peace does not weaken you, it frees you from being governed by emotional tides. My beloved, I am shaping you as a master trains a seasoned warrior. But engrave this truth deeply within your soul. Your struggle is not against flesh and blood. You are not summoned to confront people with sharp words or to triumph through superior reasoning. Your battlefield lies in the unseen realm, and your victory is measured by obedience, not by the volume of argument. When I tell you to put on the full armor of God, it is not a summons to aggression. It is an invitation into steadiness. Armor does not make you loud. It keeps you from being wounded by unseen arrows. The sword in your hand is not meant to pierce another, but to sever the lies that attempt to infiltrate your mind. Your shield of faith is not for display. It extinguishes the darts of doubt before they reach your heart. The helmet of salvation guards your thoughts from being unsettled by fear. The breastplate of righteousness shields your heart from being stained by bitterness. You will discover that when you are clothed in this way, you no longer need to raise your voice to prove yourself. You no longer need to win every exchange. Inner stability replaces the urge to react. True victory is not watching someone else fall. It is seeing your own heart remain luminous in a dim atmosphere. When others lose peace, you remain anchored. When circumstances tremble, you stand upon a foundation that does not shift. I am not training you to wound, but to become one who cannot easily be wounded by darkness. Spiritual maturity does not make you hardened and numb. It makes you steady while remaining tender. You learn to discern instead of react. You learn to pray instead of argue. You learn to stand still while others are carried away by the surge. Therefore, beloved, do not mistake noise for strength. Real strength is the capacity to keep your heart from being dragged down when darkness attempts to provoke you. When you stand firm in the armor I provide, you are not only protecting yourself, you are creating space where light can expand. When your heart refuses to be lowered by negativity, you have triumphed in heaven's way, a quiet, enduring victory that requires no applause, yet is recorded in eternity. Let your tears cleanse your vision. Do not be ashamed of them. Tears offered to me do not blur sight, they clarify it. When your vision is purified, you will see your loved ones, not merely through their failures, but through the potential I have placed within them. You will no longer look with the eyes of the flesh, but with the eyes of grace. And as your gaze transforms, the atmosphere around you shifts. The tenderness within you becomes the place where I pour oil. Those who are anointed are not those who have never broken. They are those who have surrendered. Do not resist the light when it shines into the hidden corners of your own heart. When you do not push it away, it will cover you. When you open yourself, I will clothe you with my radiance. And once you carry that light, you are not only healed, you become a channel of healing. The places you enter will not remain the same, not because you strive to change others, but because my presence within you makes darkness uncomfortable. You are the light of the world, and light does not argue with darkness, it simply exists. My beloved, remember that your authority does not rest in being right, but in abiding in me. When you choose the Spirit over the flesh, forgiveness over resentment, peace over striving, you step onto the ground of those who govern through mercy. In that realm, blessing does not stop with you. It flows outward, touching your family, touching your lineage, touching generations who do not yet know your name. Continue walking in that light. I am with you, training you, lifting you, and shaping you into an instrument that turns wounds into freedom. Lift your head, my child, and do not allow the shadow of last night to linger over your sight. The night has completed its task. The hour of dawn has arrived. I am allowing the first light to stream through doors that were once closed, to enter rooms long filled with silence and fear. The cries of repentance have reached the throne of grace, and I, your Father, have heard them. You are no longer standing in the refining ground as before. You are crossing into a season of triumph. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. This is not poetry alone. It is the reality I am establishing for you. I speak not only to you as an individual, but over the blood that runs through your veins, what has been bound across generations, repeated wounds, invisible fears. Heavy silence is reaching its appointed end. I have seen the tears of your ancestors, the words left unspoken, the injuries never tended. I have not forgotten. I have overlooked nothing. But now I release a new decree, restoration. As I promised Abraham that his descendants would be blessed and multiplied like the stars of the heavens, so I place that promise upon you. Blessing is no longer a distant story. It is becoming substance within your household. Understand this. My restoration does not merely return what was lost. I multiply what was stolen. I do not simply mend torn places. I weave a new garment. What darkness attempted to corrupt within your bloodline will be cleansed. When I cleanse, I do not leave the stain of shame. I leave the evidence of grace. I will restore to you the years the locust has eaten. You may think you have only just survived the storm, but I tell you that you are stepping into a field ready for harvest. Remember Joseph, the years of betrayal, abandonment, and imprisonment seemed like an unbroken chain of loss. Yet in a single turn, I reversed it all. He was not merely freed, he was elevated to preserve his family and a nation. My restoration always carries a purpose greater than the pain that preceded it. So it is with you. What you have endured was not solely for your release. It has been preparing you to become a source of blessing for your entire lineage. My child, I am doing a new thing. You are no longer walking as one trying simply to survive adversity. You walk as one in whom promise has been activated. The curse has reached its end, not because of your strength, but because I have appointed the time. Painful cycles will not pass into the next generation. Where you stand, I establish a new boundary. Darkness can advance no further. At your position, the current shifts direction. Let your heart receive what I am doing without suspicion. Do not look back on the days of refining with bitterness, but with the understanding that they have carried you into this appointed hour. I did not draw you out of the fire to abandon you among ashes. I brought you out to position you in the light. And that light is widening. You will see harmony begin to sprout where conflict once ruled. You will hear laughter echo where heavy silence used to linger. You will witness prayers once whispered through tears unfolding into tangible reality. I declare over you and over your lineage, restoration begins here. Not as a distant promise, but as a movement already in motion. You are no longer standing at the edge of grace. You are in the current of it. Walk forward with your head lifted and your heart filled with gratitude. For I, the keeper of covenant, I am completing what I pledged. This dawn does not merely brighten a single day, it ushers in a new era for your household, your bloodline, and for generations who will one day speak your name as the one who stood firm when restoration arrived. My beloved, I receive your prayers like incense rising before the throne. When you offer up your bloodline, your family, the generations past, and those yet unborn, you step into the role of one who stands within covenant. You are not interceding for a single soul. You are touching history and future at once. I see that heart, and I do not overlook it. If my people, who are called by my name, humble themselves and pray, then I will hear from heaven and heal their land. That promise is not confined to another era. It now extends over your house. You speak of the blood of the Lamb, and you speak rightly. No human effort can cleanse what is accumulated across generations. but the blood of the righteous one has authority to close doors through which darkness once slipped. When you ask me to shut old entrances and open new ones, you are asking for a transfer of dominion. And I, the holder of the keys, am acting. Curses that once whispered through your lineage will lose their voice. Old patterns will not reassert themselves. I am turning silent tears into rain that waters new ground. I call you chosen not to carry weight alone, but to carry light. When you place your hand over your heart and declare, you are not repeating empty phrases, you are establishing spiritual boundaries. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. That declaration once resounded through Joshua's camp, and today I hear it echo within your home. Each word spoken in faith strikes unseen chains. Each sentence uttered in the name of Jesus opens a gate of liberty. Do not assume that confession is merely sound. When your lips move in trust, the unseen realm responds. I incline my ear, and my angels are dispatched. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. When you choose to speak life, you shape the future of your descendants. Those who follow you will walk more freely because you chose to stand firmly today. I proclaim over you what has been written. If the thief is caught, he must repay sevenfold. You have lost more than you have spoken aloud. You have endured what few have witnessed. Says, yet my restitution does not follow human arithmetic. I do not merely return what was taken. I add joy you have never tasted. Sevenfold is not simply a number. It is the fullness of restoration. I will return peace where turmoil once lived. Restore trust where suspicion lingered, and bring laughter back where sighs once filled the air. You will no longer see yourself as one who merely survived a crisis. I am transforming you into one who is sent. A survivor strives to endure. One who is sent walks with purpose. I did not rescue you so you could hide. I rescued you so you could shine. When you believe that your bloodline is cleansed, you open a path for a new current of blessing to flow through generations. Blessed shall you be when you come in, and blessed shall you be when you go out. That benediction is being activated over your household. Guard your heart in trust. Do not let doubt blur what I am establishing. The years you wept were not wasted. Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. You have sown more than you realize. The harvest stands nearer than you think. I will transform what once bowed your head into the reason you lifted high. I will turn stories of sorrow into testimonies of grace. My beloved child, walk in the assurance that heaven has recorded your words. The declarations you have spoken have not fallen uselessly to the ground. They are engraved within covenant. I am establishing a new legacy for your household, a legacy of service, of faithfulness, of enduring peace. You no longer live beneath the shadow of yesterday. You live beneath the light of promise. And I, your Father, uphold that promise with unwavering power and unchanging love. My beloved, the words you lift to me do not dissolve into emptiness. When you declare blessing over every branch of your family line, in the name of Jesus Christ, you stand as a gatekeeper for generations. You are not interceding only for the souls before your eyes, but for those wandering in shadow and for those yet unborn. I hear you calling the distant back home. I hear you asking for wounds long hidden to be healed. And I answer you, my light is entering the deepest corners you cannot reach. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Do not fear complicated memories or tangled histories. When my light penetrates, confusion must retreat. I see you asking that my love flow like oil, soaking into every cell, every drop of blood, every breath. You are asking that none remain victims, but that each rise in dignity and royal identity. That prayer aligns with my heart. For I did not create humanity to live bowed beneath chains, but to walk upright in purpose. Whom the sun sets free is free indeed. That freedom is not limited to one individual. It can course through an entire lineage when even one person stands in faith. Today, you are that one. Now I speak over your soul as a father speaks to a trusted child. The flame I have kindled in you will not be extinguished. The peace I have planted within you will not be stolen by circumstance. I am opening your eyes to see with the vision of one who harvests in a holy season. You will witness change in ordinary meals, in conversations that seem small, in embraces that appear simple, not because you force transformation, but because the light you carry works quietly and persistently. Those who sow in tears shall reap with shouts of joy. You have sown. The season of rejoicing stands at the threshold. Step out from the remnants of fear. You are no longer positioned at the front line of reaction, but at the place of triumph. You chose forgiveness when resentment would have been justified. You guarded peace when eruption was possible. None of that has been overlooked. I have not only delivered you from the past, I am commissioning you for the future. You are a bearer of a new current, a bloodline cleansed, an identity renamed. From this point forward, what once traveled through generations as curse will move as multiplied blessing. I declare in heaven and on earth that your lineage shall be called a people set apart for me. The burdens that once pressed upon the shoulders of your ancestors will be buried beneath grace. The ties that bound your bloodline to dark histories will be severed by the authority of truth. The light of heaven will dwell within your home, rest upon you, and flow through you. The children born from this line will carry the mark of peace, speak the language of truth, and walk in favor and strength, not because they are flawless, but because they are covered by covenant. My beloved, do not doubt what I am establishing. When you declare, you are cooperating with me. When you pray, you are opening doors for grace to enter. Not one word spoken in faith escapes my notice. And now I place upon you an everlasting blessing. May I bless you and keep you. May my face shine upon you and show you mercy. May I turn toward you and grant you peace. That peace is not fragile or dependent on circumstance. It flows from my abiding presence with you. Walk in this assurance. You no longer pray from within darkness. You live beneath the light of promise. Your lineage is no longer defined by wounds, but by grace. And I, your Father, uphold that covenant with unfailing love. Take a deep breath, my beloved, and sense that the atmosphere around you has shifted. It is no longer the heavy air of testing, but the fresh breath of freedom. Invisible chains that once constricted your soul have fallen without a sound. The river of grace is no longer a distant hope. It is flowing through your household, through every room, through every memory. I have appointed my angels to stand guard over this dwelling. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. You are not alone amid unseen movements. You are surrounded by protection from the throne. You have crossed the old doorway, the door of fear, of repeated wounds, of dark whispers, and now you stand at the threshold of multiplied restoration. But understand this clearly. You are not called merely to exhale in relief like one who barely escaped. You are called to walk as one who has been commissioned. A survivor looks back and says, I made it through. One who is sent looks forward and says, I have been entrusted. You belong to the latter. Rise with the posture of one who carries light. Light does not shout to prove its existence. It shines, and darkness retreats. I have placed within you a lamp not meant to be hidden. Let your light shine before others, not so that you may be exalted, but so that my grace may be seen. When you enter a room, peace will accompany you. When you speak, life will follow your words. When you remain silent, my presence will still radiate through you. Stand, my beloved, with the bearing of one illuminated from within. Those who carry light do not argue to prove they are different. Light is not loud, defensive, or intent on overpowering. It simply exists, and in its existence, darkness withdraws. You are not called to create noise. You are called to radiate. The flame I have ignited within you was never meant to be concealed. It was not given so you would hide it out of fear of misunderstanding, nor so you would display it in pride. It was placed in you to illuminate pathways, to warm cold places, to remind weary souls that hope remains. As it is written that light must shine before others, it is not so the bearer is applauded, but so my glory is revealed through your life. When you enter a room, you do not need to announce what I have accomplished within you. Peace will accompany you like a gentle fragrance. Conversations that once carried tension will soften. Troubled hearts will sense something different, though they may not have language to explain it. That difference is not your own ability. It is my presence radiating through you. When you speak, let your words be infused with life. Do not speak to win, nor to prove, but to build. When I dwell within you, each sentence can become a seed, and even when you choose silence, you are not diminished. Silence filled with my presence still carries the weight of light. There are moments when not your voice, but the peace resting upon your face will become the most powerful sermon in the room. You were not placed in this world to blend into its shadows, nor to battle with noise. You were set there like a lamp on high, steady, enduring, unmoved by shifting winds. When you remember that the light within you comes from me, you will not fear standing in dark places. Where light abides, darkness cannot sustain authority. Your task is simply to continue shining. I will attend to the rest. You are a keeper of covenant. That means you do not live according to fleeting emotion. You live anchored to what I have spoken. I have set before you life and death. Therefore, choose life. You chose life when you forgave. You chose life when you stood firm in peace. And now you continue to choose life by walking in purpose. Do not return to inspect doors that have already been closed. Do not question whether chains truly fell. Trust what I have finished. I, your God, have declared something no power can reverse. The former season has passed. Old labels no longer define you. Identities rooted in injury no longer hold authority. A new season has begun, built not on fear, but on covenant. Your bloodline has been cleansed. Your household has been sanctified not by ritual alone, but by my presence dwelling within it. Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. I am rebuilding, and the foundation I lay cannot be shaken. Blessing will not flash like lightning and vanish. It will flow like an unending stream. You will see it in daily details, harmony where tension once lingered, wisdom where confusion once reigned, joy where weariness once settled. You will come to understand that restoration is not merely an event, it is a state of being. I did not simply rescue you from what was, I have set you on a new trajectory. My beloved, the blessing I release over you is not a momentary flare that fades. It is not a passing surge of emotion followed by emptiness. What I give is a continuous current, deep, steady, like underground waters that never run dry. When I open a source, no force can seal it shut. You will not perceive blessing only in grand, dramatic events. You will begin to recognize it woven quietly into the smallest details of daily life. Where words were once sharp, you will hear tones soften. Where misunderstanding lingered, you will see compassion begin to grow. Where your mind once felt divided by too many paths, clarity will unfold like dawn spreading across the horizon. Where your heart once grew weary beneath invisible burdens, you will suddenly sense joy returning, gentle, steady, real. Understand this deeply. The restoration I bring is not merely a heightened moment you recount later as a memory. It is a new condition of the soul. When I heal, I do not simply patch fractures, I alter the inner structure. When I deliver, I do not only pull you from darkness, I reposition you on an entirely different course. You no longer circle around old memories. You are placed on a new trajectory where each step confirms that you live within covenant, not within fear. I do not merely remove what was, I realign you. You are no longer defined by what happened to you, but by where I am leading you. As you continue walking in trust, you will realize that blessing is not something you chase. It is a river in which you now stand. You do not need to run in search of it. Remain in my presence. And that current will continue to flow through your life, renewing you day by day. Therefore, my beloved, walk forward, not with your head bowed, but lifted, not trembling, but steady. You are no longer driven by circumstance. You are led by the Spirit. Carry the light I have entrusted to you. Guard the covenant I have established. Live as one who knows that my word never returns empty. This new season is not an illusion. It is a reality unfolding before you. I go before you, remain beside you, and stand behind you to ensure that the blessing I have spoken will flow without end. Now, lift your soul before me with an undivided heart. Hold nothing back. Conceal nothing. Let every inward pulse become a sincere prayer rising before my throne. I listen not only to the sound of your lips, but to the quietest breath within your spirit. Almighty God, who laid the foundations of the earth and calls each star by name, today I come not as one trembling before the future, but as a child led by the Father's hand across the threshold of a new season. Strengthen within me the assurance that the old chains have truly fallen, that the shift in the atmosphere is not illusion but evidence of a greater work being completed. Guard my mind from drifting back to images of the former season. Let me not doubt the freedom you have granted, but stand firm in confidence that what you began, you will bring to completion. As it is written that the one who began a good work will carry it through to fulfillment. May every step I take from this day forward carry no shadow of fear, but reflect the freedom sealed upon my soul. Father of lights, breathe again by your Spirit upon the flame you have kindled within me. Let it not only warm my own heart, but become a torch guiding my household. Protect the peace you have placed within me, so that it is not stolen by minor disturbances or eroded by careless words. Let it stand like a fortified wall amid change. As I enter each room and every conversation, may your presence go before me, calming unseen currents beneath the surface, for I know that unless you build the house, our labor is in vain. Therefore, I entrust this home to you. Continue sanctifying every corner, every memory, every relationship. Let this place no longer resemble a battlefield of yesterday, but a garden of restoration under your care. Covenant-keeping God, I ask that you strengthen me in the calling of one who is sent. Do not allow me to slip back into the posture of someone merely trying to survive each day, but anchor me in the awareness that you have entrusted me with a purpose greater than fleeting emotion. Teach me to carry light without self-exaltation, to guard covenant without pride, and to serve my family with humility, knowing that true authority is not found in a raised voice, but in a heart yielded before you. Let every decision I make be weighed in the light of eternity, so I will not trade tomorrow for the convenience of today, nor compromise what is sacred for what is momentarily easy. Merciful Father, I also bring before you the quiet anxieties that still linger within me, the unanswered questions, the moments when memory causes my heart to tremble. Touch them and transform them into testimonies of grace. Teach me to live as one who has been set free, not turning back to search for fallen chains, not binding myself again to former narratives, but walking in the wide space of grace. For where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom, and I believe that freedom is enlarging the chambers of my heart so that I may love more generously, forgive more deeply, and hope more boldly. God of multiplied restoration, grant me eyes that perceive the coming harvest. So I will not grow discouraged if change is not yet fully visible. Make me patient like the farmer who waits for early and latter rains. Keep me from demanding immediate results. Anchor me in trust for the process you are unfolding. You never abandon what you begin, and the abundance you promise is not merely material increase, but growth in peace, in unity, in joy so deep that no circumstance can steal it. And now, within these petitions, my heart rises with thanksgiving. Faithful Father, I thank you that you did not leave me in the shadow of the former season. You guided me patiently through each trial until this hour of triumph. I thank you that no tear was wasted, but became seed for a season of rejoicing. As it is written that those who sow in tears reap with songs of joy. I sense the first notes of that song already awakening within my spirit. I offer a second thanksgiving, for you have protected my household in ways I have never seen. You have stationed your angels to guard us in sleep and in waking. You have shielded this home from unseen currents that could have overwhelmed us. Had you not been our defender, we would have faltered long ago. I thank you that blessing is not only spoken, but activated, that our bloodline is no longer defined by yesterday, but by a new covenant in Christ. I thank you for entrusting me to stand in the gap and open a doorway of freedom for generations to come. Loving Father, continue to teach me how to live worthy of the grace I have received. Let me awaken each day, not with the pressure to prove myself, but with gratitude that I am walking within a plan already written. Keep me from comparing my journey with another's, and help me remain faithful to the portion you have assigned. For in your book were written all my days before one of them came to be. And I choose to believe that the pages yet to unfold are filled with mercy and truth. My child, I speak to you within this prayer. I have heard, I have answered, and I am still at work. Therefore, continue to lift your heart before me. Continue to pray without weariness. Continue to give thanks, even when you have not yet seen the fullness. For faith is the substance of what is hoped for, and the evidence of what is unseen, and you are living within that evidence. I will guard your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. This new season will not close in disappointment, but in the radiant fulfillment of the purpose I have ordained. And when you look back, you will not say, I survived, but Father completed all things, and your soul will rest in my unchanging faithfulness. My beloved, your presence here is not accidental. No word you have received has fallen into your life at random. I have guided you to the precise moment, the exact rhythm of grace, to remind you that you are called, set apart, appointed to walk in light and breathe the atmosphere of the kingdom each day. Do not treat lightly the spiritual current I am opening before you. When you choose to remain in the source of light, when you open your heart to receive each message released, your soul is nourished, your faith is strengthened, and your vision is renewed. Keep yourself in readiness, so that whenever I pour out fresh grace, your spirit will be the first ground to be saturated. If your heart has been stirred, if your soul has been awakened, then continue in this path. Choose to remain within this flow. Stir up your alertness so you do not miss what I am doing in the days ahead. You are not merely a listener, you are chosen to live daily in the presence of the Word. And as you maintain that connection, I will continue to fill you, continue to guide you, and continue to renew you from glory to glory. Thank you for listening to this message. Know this, you are not merely an audience, you are chosen to live daily in the presence of the Word of God. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you will not miss any spiritual message. Amen.